Okay, time to put together the Farmyard pop-up terrain. Now this has a lot of nice long straight cuts, so you could probably do a lot of it with scissors, but make sure you score first. I've got my dry ballpoint pen, and there aren't many places to score on this sheet. There are a few more places to score on the next one. I'm going to score all along these lines, all the way down. It's important because it needs to fold there. That one's done. This page 2 has a few more important bends, but really not too many. Very very simple to do. So that's all the scoring you'll need to do. On to the cutting. If you have yourself a nice metal ruler, probably could use that to make these cuts a little straighter. I kind of like the organic nature of cutting by hand, but again, it's up to you. I won't judge you if you use a metal ruler. That's what I'm saying. Now, be careful on these little slots not to cut through the edge. If you do, you're gonna want to glue another piece on so that that shape of that slot is preserved. These slots on this one are extremely important. Make sure you don't lose these little parts. Important to keep those. Those are for attaching the roof to the little farm shed. So don't lose them. Put them somewhere far away where you're less likely to accidentally bump them onto the floor. Although, as you can see on the back, there's plenty of extra wood texture. If you had to cut out some more like wood to fill that part, you could conceivably do that. Okay, there are some curvy parts on here. It's not really that important that you get the curves right. It's actually more important that you get the straight parts right. Because if you don't, the paper won't slide properly. So just make sure you get these straightaways right. The curves, you can kind of have them be a little less like and more chunky if you if you don't have the X-Acto knife handling skills with a Z. That I do. Tell you what, while you guys were out there, playing your baseball, scoring hoops, I was using an X-Acto knife to cut out little pieces of paper. Actually, I have played basketball before. But that doesn't mean I'm any good at it. Alright. So again, the slots, very important to get right. If you mess them up, try to fix them. These ones might be a little harder to see because you're looking at a whole area of squares, but should be able to find them eventually. They're the parts that are white rectangles. Okay, so for this piece of terrain, I really wanted to design it with this idea of a low wall around a small structure, so that you have one area where you have a ton of cover that you can flee back to, and another area where you have some cover, partial cover. You can get up against your wall and have some defense that way. So, and I feel like the Barnyard really did well with that. In fact, some of the structures, like this house, this little barn shed, came out working probably like, I don't know, came out working a lot better than I thought it would when I designed it. I thought it might have some trouble staying low to the ground, so that all four walls touched the ground when it was open. But really, that wasn't a problem at all. Worked out really well. So I was really pleased with how this pop-up terrain piece came out. Alright, and the trees. Now I have made the lines on these trees very straight around the edges. You don't have to cut them out that way. You can cut them out so that they're you can highlight the leaves and stuff if you want. I won't hold it against you, but I've found that just the fairly simple edge works for me on this one. Alright, that's all of our pieces cut out. We're ready to assemble. Let's do the interior parts first. So the first thing we want to glue is 1-to-1, this part of the little farm shed. Just glues right there. And then we'll want to glue that to the ground with parts with tabs 1 to B2 and 1 to B1. And those just glue to the ground. You can see where they go pretty easily. They match up with the grass texture and the mud texture. And with the inside of the house floor texture. So again, if you get too anxious, probably have to glue something down twice. And then let's attach the tree. So part 7 to 1, tab 7 to 1, I guess. Glue that on, and in this case, textures don't need to line up too closely, but they should. 6 to B. And then 6 to 7. Now you could do it in another order if you want. You don't necessarily have to glue this on before you glue on the parts for the fences around the outside. But I'm going to right now. Then these two roof pieces need to go on. Doesn't matter necessarily which side, which one. It matters a little bit which side which one goes on, because what you want is for the long end of the roof to extend to create a little sort of shaded porch area. If you have them extend the other way so that the long end hangs off of this side, then when it folds up, those will hang off the edge of the base and won't be as protected from getting knocked around. And then we glue 1 to 2 and 1 to 3, and you should be able to see the chimney of this little stove that's drawn on there extend up like so. You see that? That's what it should look like. Okay? And that is the farm shed structure. Now we get to gluing up the fence. So here is 4 to B1 and 4 to B2. Nice long pieces that match up to the ground texture perfectly. You want to match them up right. So take a look before you glue. Make sure what you're gluing down matches up. Wiggle it around if you have to. But these pieces need to match up, or you're going to have trouble. Okay. Very nice. And 5 to B1 and 5 to B2 can now be glued down. Again, match up the grass texture. There's a lot of grass going around, but if you look hard, you should be able to see which pieces of grass match up and where they go. Okay, so that's those two pieces are on there. Now we're gluing down 9 to B. Now there's 3 9 to B slots. We're gluing them all down at once. And at the same time, we're slotting these end boards through the fences on the side. So slot those in and then glue them down. Try not to bend anything too far. Everything should go together fairly well. And then match up the grass texture where you're gluing. Make sure that you're on top of those glue spots. If you look at and you see you're not on top of the glue spot and your grind texture doesn't match, then move it around a little bit. Get it to the right spot. Okay. So your final thing on this side should look like this. Okay, you've got the posts extending out of either side, and that's what's going to pull this piece up. Otherwise, that piece would just fold flat and wouldn't pop back up ever. We're going to do the same thing on the 8B pieces. Just dab a little glue there. And because we've used maybe a little more glue than I would normally use on these spots, I want to make sure that it dries before we try folding it up, because the more glue you use, the longer it takes to dry, and when you fold glue that's not dry, things come apart. So this is what it should look like when you're done. A fence around a small structure, some trees, plenty of good cover for your troops, along with this structure which you can open the top of if you need to in order to move your troops around inside. Let's do it. I think it's dry enough. Again, I'm not a patient man, it turns out. So, extra piece of paper there. Okay. Moment of truth. Folds flat. And everything pops back up. Ho ho! Home run. Alright. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoy the terrain. And thanks so much for your time. Bye.